Hey my friends, how's it going? It's Ultimus, and I just woke up from a nap at 11 p.m. on Sunday night. I would have kept sleeping through, but we have videos to make for you guys on this beautiful Monday day now that you're watching this. So, let's go ahead and get started. Today we are looking at the Vengeance Demon Hunter artifact tree. Now, I was going to skip it completely, simply because I was like, well, it's a tank, and we really don't look at tanks too much for PvP, but then I was like, well, we've looked at every other artifact tree, and also since Demon Hunters are only going to have 2 specs, the likelihood of seeing them in PvP is quite high. I would anticipate seeing more Vengeance Demon Hunters in PvP than any other tank spec initially. Maybe not more than Blood DKs in the long run, but initially when Legion drops, I think we're going to see a lot of Vengeance DKs in PvP just because people are going to be trying it out. I personally don't have a whole lot of interest in it. I just have a hard time caring about tanking specs unless it's Prot Warriors, to be completely honest. But I do want to take a look at it because it's new and it's exciting, and I want to see what they're going to look like since all of the artifact traits are fleshed out and actually available. Whether or not they'll stay the same, obviously that's likely not, but I thought it'd be fun to take a look at. So let's get right in and take a look at Aldrachi Warblades. I want to make sure I said that right, because again, we can't say things. The equip effect is grants the Soul Carver ability, which slashes. This is going to be a long video, I can tell you that already. Which slashes your target for fire damage and tears lesser soul fragments out of them. So you're getting that ability that is also going to do fire damage, not just melee damage, but fire damage, but it's going to pull those soul fragments out. And the soul fragments are those pieces or bits that will basically, from what I was able to understand, lay on the ground more or less, very similar to how the monk chi orbs operated. And when you walk over them, they will give you a portion of your health back. Now, the Vengeance Demon Hunter has a pretty cool mechanic in one of its abilities that we'll go over briefly, I think, when we get there. And that is when you use the ability, it actually draws nearby soul fragments closer to you. That is interesting to me. Every other, just mechanically wise, I mean, it's not going to be game breaking, I don't think. It's not going to be OP, like, oh my gosh, Vengeance Demon Hunters are broken. Like, that's not what's going to make them overpowered, but it's an interesting mechanic, at least to me, for self-healing wise. Because everything else like that is very much like you walk over it and you have to pick it up. Whereas with these Demon Hunters, the Vengeance Demon Hunters, they're going to have at least the one ability that's going to draw them to themselves. So that's interesting to me. Soul Carver. Carve into the soul of your target, shattering off 2 lesser soul fragments, and dealing 350% plus 350% fire damage to your target, and causing the target to burn for 150% of attack power fire damage, and lose another lesser soul fragment every 1 second for 3 seconds. So this is going to be a pretty gnarly ability simply for soul fragment spawning. I mean, with this ability alone, you're looking at, what, 2 and then 3. So that's 5 total soul fragments just from the Soul Carver ability alone. And though, depending on what the healing is like on those, how that's going to be tuned, we'll have to wait and see. But that potentially could be very sustaining for them. And I know that's the idea, and so it could be very, very good. I think stuff like this is always, more than any other ability or mechanic, very important to keep tuned right, just because this could get overpowered very quickly, or it could be very lackluster very quickly. Self-healing, to me at least, and maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but it's tricky, because again, you have to find the perfect nuance for it, because it can't be so strong that it just completely breaks the game and you don't even need a healer because you can keep yourself alive. But it can't be so weak that there's no point in casting, and either that you're a burden to have around and healers have to work extra hard to keep you alive. So I think there's got to be a balance there, and stuff like this especially has to be very, very carefully balanced and has to have a very watchful eye kept on it. Tormented Souls increases the damage of Soul Cleave by 15%, so right off the bat that buff to Soul Cleaver, which is pretty cool. Cool. So different ability. It's not actually buffing the Soul Carver. That's actually really confusing to me. Soul Cleave is the ability that is what's going to draw the orbs to you. So you're getting the damage buff right off the bat to that. Interesting that it's not 3 points. It's just the one that immediately buffs it by 15%. I'm curious what our other talents are going to look like that are going to require multiple ranks here. Aldrachi Design, parry chance increased by 1%, 2%, 3%. Interesting then that the tank spec, the Vengeance Demon Hunters, are going to focus on parry, it seems. Are they? But they're still an agility class. Interesting. That's an interesting mechanic, because normally, again, agility classes are dodge based, but it looks like the tank spec is going to have a little more emphasis on parry. Infernal Force increases the damage of Infernal Strike by 5%. Infernal Strike is a pretty cool ability. When I was able to read, you're basically like you leap in the air and you just like Hulk smash the ground, and it does, I think, like 70% or so fire damage or something to targets. It doesn't stun, though, so that's something to keep in mind. You might be able to glyph for it or take a talent for it that makes it stun, but baseline it doesn't stun. So we're looking at a damage increase by 5, 10, 15% for that one. And then Devour Souls. Soul Cleave heals for an additional 1% of your maximum health when used. That's kind of cool. Scorched Ground. Sigil of Flames now has 2 charges. Oh, that's right. Demon Hunters have those sigils. They like have the sigils they place on the ground. Or at least the Vengeance one. I gotta remember to clarify that. Vengeance Demon Hunters have the sigils that they placed on the ground. They're almost like those like rune traps, more or less, which is kind of cool, actually. I'm surprised we haven't seen more stuff in the game like that, especially with mages, arcane mages, to be precise. Like putting runes on the ground, and when people walk through them, they get like damaged or knocked back, blown up, chained, trapped, all that kind of stuff. So you're going to see these mechanics with the Vengeance Demon Hunters. And so now you're going to see your particular Sigil of Flames have 2 charges. Aura of Pain increases the damage of Immolation Aura by 5%, 10%, 15%. Honed Warblades increases the damage of Shear by 5, 10, 15. So damage buffs all around. Defensive Spikes. For the first 3 seconds of Demon Spikes, your parry chance is increased by 30%. So, interesting. So yeah, definitely for sure confirmed. Parry is the Vengeance Demon Hunters' active mitigation. No, not active. I can't really call that active mitigation. Mitigation of choice as opposed to block, dodge, parry, all that stuff like that. So parry will be what Vengeance Demon Hunters use. Embrace the Pain increases the maximum health granted from Metamorphosis by 5%, 10%, 15%. So it looks like with Metamorphosis, your health is going to go up as a tank Demon Hunter when you use it, which that alone is kind of cool. I'd be curious if your health goes up when you use it as a Havoc Demon Hunter. I don't think so. I can't imagine. That might be a little broken. So it might be kind of cool for the Vengeance Demon Hunter to have that as something being exclusive to their spec, as opposed to, you know, both having it. Shatter the Souls. Shear has a 5% increased chance to shatter a lesser soul fragment from the target while you are below 50% health. Oh wow, 5, 10, 15. So that's kind of cool. So again, more emphasis on those soul shards and getting them on the ground so you're able to keep yourself alive. 50% health seems high. I could see that getting nerfed a little bit to where it doesn't start working until maybe 30, 40%. 50% seems very generous, especially for a tank spec. Like, that seems very, very generous. Demonic Flames increases the duration of Fiery Brand by 2 seconds. Fiery Demise. Fiery Brand also increases fire damage you deal to the target by 10%, 20%, 30%. That's kind of crazy. So more and more fire damage. It's interesting, too, to me that we're going to see a tank with just basically, like, fire damage. It's not going to be all melee damage. I mean, I know you have... Now, you have got Holy Paladins that do holy damage. I'm sorry, prop Paladins that do holy damage. You have, you know, the Blood DKs that do the shadow damage with the blood and everything like that they're doing, their diseases. You know, Feral Druids or Guardian Druids are going to do melee damage, but also bleeds. Warriors do the physical damage. You know, you got the Mistweaver monks that are gonna, or not Mistweaver, Derp. While we are Derped apart, Brewmasters that do a mix of the nature damage and physical damage. So it's kind of cool that we're seeing a tank that's now going to be throwing out fire damage. How that's all going to work probably isn't going to make too much of a difference unless they start bringing resistances back, which I don't see them ever doing again. But it's kind of cool from a thematic point of view, I suppose. Will of the Illidari. Maximum health is increased by 5, 10, 15%. I was actually wondering when we'd see that one in the talent tree here. I think that's all of our minor points. Cool. Let's take a look at some of our bigger abilities here. We have Painbringer. Each soul fragment consumed grants you 3% damage reduction for 4 seconds. Oh, that's kind of cool. So every time you eat those souls up, you're about to get a 3% damage reduction, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's another nice way to mitigate some damage as well. Especially if you're consuming a ton of those soul fragments, all of a sudden 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, percent damage reduction. More, who knows. Charred Warblades. You heal for 15% of all fire damage dealt. Interesting. So it seems like self-healing is going to be a big deal for Vengeance Demon Hunters. How that's going to work or compete with Blood Death Knights? I'm not sure, actually. Because that was always Blood Death Knights thing, and that's still going to be their thing heavily. It's just like, especially with their weapon, like it's consuming the life force of your enemies as you're hitting them, more or less. So it's interesting that they're causing the Vengeance Demon Hunters to rely fairly heavily on those absorbs as well. I mean, it's only for all the fire damage you deal, so I guess it can't be that bad. It's not like every attack you do you're going to get health back, so that could balance out quite nicely. And then lastly, Fueled by Pain. You have a chance to enter Metamorphosis form for 5 seconds each time you consume a soul fragment. Oh. So you definitely want to keep up with, I mean, it seems to me at least that your entire rotation as a Vengeance Demon Hunter specifically is going to want to focus around spawning those shards and consuming them. Because there's way too many benefits from this artifact weapon alone, from consuming soul shards to just let them sit around for like when you need them. So it sounds like you're going to want to be constantly consuming them and using them and stuff like that. Not just waiting for that last minute chance to save yourself. Maybe keeping 1 or 2 around for that just in case. But it seems like you're going to constantly be wanting to cycle through those soul shards just with the amount of benefits you're getting from the artifact weapon. Not even looking at the abilities, the talents, anything like that. That's all yet to be seen. For me, at least, I haven't looked at it. So definitely wanting to cycle through those shards, which is an interesting thought, I feel like. Because I feel like the Mistweaver Chi Orbs that would heal you would lay around, and you kind of like put those around, and you didn't really get a whole lot necessarily from stepping on them, at least not as a party member. Maybe as a Mistweaver monk you did, and I just wasn't paying attention. But like as someone who would play alongside Mistweaver monks, I never really got a buff, I don't think, from stepping on them or using them. I just got the healing, which was fine, and they were actually kind of cool because it was like, I don't know, it was like fun to walk around, pick them up as you were in a PvP match. It was weird. Look, I have weird interests. But for Demon Hunters in this case, like your entire sustainability seems to be relying on them, not just to keep yourself alive, but a good chunk of your damage. Because I mean, Metamorphosis, I would imagine, is going to be a gnarly damage increase, gnarly threat increase. Sounds like a health increase, and so all of that alongside, plus the damage buffs, all those things, which is an interesting thought. Just wanting to keep cycling through those shards as best as possible. So I guess that will probably define good Vengeance Demon Hunters from the poor ones, is how well they can cycle through those shards. That's my initial first impression guess that I have. We'll see how correct or incorrect that is. But they sound cool. Again, I don't necessarily see myself playing a whole lot. I mean, I'll probably off-spec it because what other option do I have as a Demon Hunter? I'll have 2 specs. Might as well. Especially if I end up liking Demon Hunters a whole lot. I'm curious what I'll like more, Demon Hunters or Death Knights. I can't imagine I'll be in love with both of them since they both have very different play styles. But I'm curious. Because I've enjoyed my Death Knight up to this point. It's been like the happy medium between the side of me that wants to play an Affliction Warlock but knows I'll never be good at it, and the side of me that's been playing a Warrior for X amount of years. So Death Knights are always like that happy medium. So I wonder if like Demon Hunters will be the happy medium between the Warrior player in me and the Rogue side that kind of wants to play Rogue but gets way too bored playing Rogues. I don't know. We'll see. Looking cool. Looking exciting. Glad to see they're in the game. Coming with Legion. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they look like on the fields of battle in PvP. So far, they're mobile as all get out. Was watching some streams and some YouTube footage of how much ground Demon Hunters can cover in such a short period of time, and they are insane. So they look like a ton of fun. Just exciting stuff. It's a good time to be alive. It's a good time to be looking forward to World of Warcraft. So A couple things before we end the video. Got some really cool videos coming up this week for you guys. Tomorrow will be a very different video, which I'm looking forward to. Got some other fun concepts working in the mix, some more Legion conversations and topics, along with just some other unique videos that will be out by this week. They are on the schedule. They are on my paper that I have penned in that says this is what videos we're doing this day. So it's kind of cool. Hope you guys are excited. I'm excited. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'm still shooting for 500 subs come summertime, so if you would like to help me get there, your support would be most appreciated. Thank you for those of you who have recently subbed, and for those of you who have subbed way back a couple years ago throughout the course of us doing this and have stuck around. Don't forget to follow me on the different social media platforms that we have going on here related to the channel, Facebook, Twitter, and you can also follow my Instagram if that's your jam. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.